If you're building Grasshopper-based tools in Rhino, you will most likely have encountered this problem that you're using the same Grasshopper script for multiple Rhino files. And then it could be that in one Rhino file you use one set of parameters, in another Rhino file you use another set of parameters, and you don't want to save a new Grasshopper file for every project. So in this video, I'm just going to show you a little trick I have that you can use to save the state of your Grasshopper file in your Rhino document. So let me just share my screen here and just show you like a super simple human UI based UI here. This could also be Synapse, for example, or any other UI. DK UI by Dave K already has this solved, and he's using the same technique, so it's really cool. But let's say this UI here, I have this text input. This is a file, and I have some text here and a slider. And now this is what I want to use for this Rhino file. But in another Rhino file, I may have different name here. And I want it to be so that when I open this Rhino file with this Grasshopper script, these values just automatically update. So let me show you the base of this. So if I just go here, the technique essentially is that I save the state of my UI or my Grasshopper document inside the Rhino user text. So you can see as I write here, I update the document user text in Rhino. And the same here, I can click and update, and this one also just updates. So this is cool, but what then happens if I open a new Rhino document? And let's do that. You can see the document user text. Then we get back to some default values, which is also fine for now. And you can see here the UI also updated to default values. Now, if I load another file with saved values, what I want to happen is to have the UI update with those values. But let's look at Grasshopper. So if we go in here, let me just put this over to the side here. So we have our UI components down here. You have a text box, and a slider. And you can see I give them a little bit more information here. I give them a name, and I give them a default value. And then I have another name here, default value, and another name here, and a default value. And you can see these are the names that I save over in my document user text. So I always have an easy way to reference these objects. And be careful with this, because if you accidentally have the same name in two places, you are going to be in for some trouble. So I can use this completely normally. I take my objects here. I can go up to the script. I have a reader, and you can see that when I change these, the value is being sent into the script exactly as I am used to. But I do something else at the same time. So if we just find another reader down here, now just go to the end, like start from the back. You can see I have a reader here, a live reader. And here I get the document keys. So I have these three keys, and I have these three values. I go in here, write user text, and I have a script that basically says take the RhinoDoc, set document user text for these keys here, and that's it. So that's the last thing I do in this stream of data here. So right now, when I'm changing something, just see if I put a data recorder in here, for example. When I change this, nothing happens in this one. The only thing that updates is this stream here. So this one expires, that triggers this one, that triggers this one. So these are the only three components down here that expire when I change values in my UI. But when I open the document, or when I run this script for the very first time, so I open the Grasshopper script on an open Grasshopper file, all of this here will run first. So this expires, this expires, this expires. Also, this expires. All of this here expires. And then it goes up here. And before I have written, this here happens before this. So if I open a new Rhino file that doesn't have any keys saved, then of course I can't read them. So then I go in here and I'd say, take my key, get the document user text. And if there's a value, then give me that value. And if there is no value, give me the default value. So it tries to read the document user text, but if it fails, it just gives the default value out. So now you can see that they have values here. So if I run this again, then I get these values that exist in the document. Then I go in, take this value, I take my UI components, and then I want to set the value of these UI components. This is a bit stupid in human UI because these have dead ends, these set components, and it's very important for me that they fire before I do the rest. So I put them into a cluster. So I know 100% sure that these two components will trigger before anything downstream here happens. So that's why I put them into a cluster. So now I set the values of these here. And this is a bit odd because sometimes with some of these, it triggers a reader to expire. Sometimes it doesn't. So you can't really rely on just because you update these that it actually triggers anything in your script when you do it remotely. So that's something I'm taking into account with this workflow here by using this UI vals was injected. So if I run this here, let's just say I put this here to 5. I'm not sure that this will work. Sorry, I just do this. Merge, merge, merge. So we just get 5 values. Just graft it, and then we do this. Then we set all the values. And then what happens at the same time is that we have this trigger here that goes up before our value readers. So we make sure that when we do this injection of values, that it actually triggers everything in the script as well. Because then this expires, and this expires. So now we have injected the values into the UI. And now we can go down and we can read these values into the document. One thing that I just see here that I actually also need to do is I need to take this one, Control copy. There's a little mistake here. To put this in here. Oh, disconnect. This. And this here. So I need to make sure that if I inject any values, I also trigger the read from down here. So let's just move this out so it becomes a little bit clearer. So now even if this value listener did not do anything when I injected the values, it will still expire and update the values. So I know that this is a slightly complex workflow, but it can make a massive difference because now if I save this Rhino file and I open this with this UI open, I can start where I left off and I don't need to have different copies of my Grasshopper scripts. One last thing I just realized I forgot to show you was this over here, this one here. So I have a little trigger here, which is subscribed to the event end open document. So if I now go in here, show a data recorder to see what happens. Now I have a null value here, that's fine. So let me put that over here. If I now open a new file, open, no. And I open it here. Then you can see that this one here expired because Grasshopper doesn't reload just because you load a new Rhino file in. So we need to have this little component here that is subscribed to that event. So we get an expiration of this here if we open a new Rhino file while the Grasshopper script is open. So I hope this here makes sense. It's a complex workflow, but it has made a massive difference for the way I work. And if you don't want to do this yourself, you can also just use DK UI, which has this feature built in. So thanks a lot for watching.